Hey guys, in this video I'm comparing the iPhone SE, the first one, the 2016 model, to the newest iPhone 13. Two very different devices, but I still think they're very comparable. So let's go ahead and go down the list and I'll tell you the differences and what makes the iPhone SE still a good phone even compared to the iPhone 13 in 2021. So the first thing you notice is that the iPhone SE is a 4G device while the iPhone 13 is 5G, so that's a big difference there. The iPhone SE is 5 years older than the iPhone 13. It came out in 2016, and it's pretty much a iPhone 5 design with internals of the iPhone 6s. Size-wise, the iPhone SE is super small. Fits very good in the hand, and it weighs less than 4 ounces, while the iPhone 13 is a big boy phone, and it weighs around 6.14 ounces. Build quality, both of these are very good in build quality. The SE has glass front, aluminum back, aluminum frame. iPhone 13 glass front, glass back, aluminum frame. They both have nano SIM card slots, but the iPhone 13 also has eSIM technology built in, which is very handy. iPhone SE doesn't have any dust and water resistance, but the iPhone 13 has IP68 dust and water resistance, dunking in water up to 6 meters for 30 minutes. Now the display is very different size-wise. You have a 4-inch on the SE, and you get a massive 6.1-inch on the iPhone 13. So you got a lot of bezels on the iPhone SE, and you only get 60% screen to body ratio. iPhone 13 has pretty much all screen display except for the notch on top, but you do get 86% screen to body ratio. Resolution, you get 326 ppi in the iPhone SE. iPhone 13 has 460 ppi density, but the iPhone SE ppi density is still pretty good considering the fact that some Android phones that are released recently still have 720p displays, which only give you like 270 ppi, so still impressive on the iPhone SE. Now for the software, that's where it really shines. Both of these are running iOS 15, so you're pretty much going to get 99% of the features on both of these. You're not going to notice any real difference in software. Chipset, you got the A9 on the SE, you got A15 Bionic on the iPhone 13, and obviously the iPhone 13 is just going to be super fast with everything on it. But for most apps, for most basic apps, the iPhone SE will run just fine, and still, they're not that slow. They're going to be decent. As for storage, the iPhone SE, when it first came out, only had 16 gigs. Then later on during its run, it started having a standard 32 gigs of storage. The iPhone 13 blows it out of the water. It starts off at 128 gigs. RAM-wise, not a big difference. It doesn't really matter in iOS and the iPhone world because iPhones utilize RAM very efficiently, but it still does matter. The iPhone SE has 2 gigs of RAM, while the iPhone 13 has 4 gigs of RAM. It doesn't really matter when the phones first come out, but towards the end of its run, that's when you're going to find that RAM is very important for iPhones later on when it ages. So in this case, the 2 gigs of RAM in the iPhone SE, it's going to show its age, while the iPhone 13 will be good for several generations and you won't notice much slowdowns or app closures in the background. As for cameras, iPhone SE has a single 12 megapixel shooter. iPhone 13 has 2 12 megapixel shooters, and one of them is an ultra wide, but surprisingly, both phones shoot in 4K video now. Both of these have great cameras, but obviously the iPhone 13 was just a better camera and video experience overall. But the iPhone SE is not bad at all, especially in the daytime. You're going to get really crispy videos, 4K. It's still amazing to see that this one came out 5 years ago and it has 4K and it still holds up today. As for the selfie camera, I don't see too much difference in these. They still are very good. 1.2 megapixels on the SE, 12 megapixels on the 13. 720p video on the SE, 4K on the iPhone 13. The only real difference here really is if you take a lot of videos on the selfie camera with the iPhone 13. One big difference here is that the SE has a headphone jack while the iPhone 13 does not. So that might matter to you. Bluetooth 4.2 on the SE, 5.0 on the iPhone 13. Both of these will connect to your wireless devices. Both have NFC, which is great. Both have the Lightning port. Big difference here is that the SE has a front mounted fingerprint reader with the home button. iPhone 13 has the Face ID. Battery, you're going to see a huge difference. The iPhone SE has a small 1624 milliamp battery, while the iPhone 13 has a 3240 milliamp battery. So pretty much twice the size of the iPhone SE, and that's going to make a huge difference. The iPhone SE has really bad battery life. You can't make it even half a day. iPhone 13 would take you more than a day easily on that big battery, and it also has fast charging, MagSafe wireless charging, and just all that good stuff. iPhone SE just has regular charging, no fast charging, no nothing. So we went through all the specs, and honestly gotta say that the iPhone SE still holds up pretty good, although the iPhone 13 obviously is better, faster. Big differences is going to be no home button on the iPhone 13, an all screen design, better cameras, obviously better internals, it's faster, it's overall bigger device. But then another big difference is price wise. The iPhone SE, when it was released, it was like the first real budget phone that didn't sacrifice a lot, and you could even find one today used for around $60. iPhone 13 is a real premium phone, and you're gonna get it for at least $800. So the iPhone SE still holds up in 2021. See you in the next one, guys.